Call this meeting to order, our May 22nd, 2025 special council meeting. There are no regrets tonight. Everybody is here. Number 2 on the agenda, invitation to stand and move. Anytime, if you feel the need to get up, you can move around. Number 3, any additions? We don't add usually to a special council meeting, so can I have somebody make a motion to approve the agenda? Moved by Councillor Bourque, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Any questions on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. Conflict of interest declaration. Does anybody have a conflict with any of the items on the agenda this evening, this afternoon, whatever we are? If not, if you have a conflict at any point, you can declare it at that time. Number 4, we have a presentation from the West Pubnico Golf Course. So we have Alex Nickerson, who is online. He is going to give us a presentation through Zoom. The floor is yours, Alex.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for taking the time to listen to our capital funding request. Sorry I couldn't be there in person today. We're just doing some major renovations here at the Home Hardware in Yarmouth, and so lots going on. So appreciate everything. And so some of you obviously grew up in the area. Most of you have. I want to tell you just quickly a little bit about the golf course. So it opened up in 1968 as a public 9-hole course. To support the cost of making the golf course, shares were sold at that time. And in 1991, an additional 9 holes opened for play. And in 2009, it became a nonprofit association, and shares ceased to exist at that time. What do? We promote and provide opportunity to enjoy the sport of golf for all, including juniors. Our junior program offers free club rentals, discounted lessons, and a free membership for all those under the age of 15. We also have weekly junior scrambles made possible with funding received from the province. We have fun and competitive golf events, but also provide a social and community space for non-golf events such as trivia, music, celebrations, and also host a bunch of meetings. We host golf lessons for all above the age of 5. And in the winter, we, along with Argyle Recreation, we promote snowshoeing and cross-country skiing. How are we doing so far? I joined the board in 2022, and in 2023 became the president. At that time, we had 226 members. In 2024, we increased that to 303. And this season, based on our membership signups and who needs to register here this year, we're looking to be about 370 members, which is right up there with a lot of the local golf clubs as well. So we're very excited about that. Financially, our 2024 year has been the best year that we ever had in the golf course history. Our net revenues before expenses were as follows: in 2022, $367,000, 2023, $406,000, 2024, $487,000 in revenues. Our surplus at the end of the year was $63,000 in 2022, $33,000 in 2023. Had some major repair costs that year with putting on the new metal roof. And in 2024, last year, we had over $100,000 in surplus at the end of the year. Why are we making this long-term capital funding request? As you can see, the West Pubnico Golf Association is doing very well. However, there is many reasons we need capital funding. We need to be able to lower operating costs associated with older infrastructure and course maintenance on our equipment. We have maintenance buildings that are in desperate need of repair. Cart paths that need to be created and maintained. Part of our rental cart fleet needs to be upgraded, and we have a bridge that this year we had to deem that you couldn't drive on it, and so we need to repair that bridge as well. Here's our projected budget for 2025. If we're able to secure these funds through capital funding through Argyle and the town of Yarmouth, West Pubnico would be able to put in $25,000 themselves. That would enable us to repair our small maintenance shed. We've got quotes on that from different contractors, and the best one was $32,000. And we also have a large maintenance shed where the roof is leaking and there's some major repairs as well to that. And the cost to get that completely taken care of was $42,000. So that's our projected budget for 2025. In 2026, our expenses that we're looking to take care of in 2026 was the purchase and refurbish mower for $40,000, repair that bridge I was just telling you guys about there on number 8, add 3 new cart paths, and also 2 tee boxes for repair and reseeding. And we'd like to start some bunker reconstruction as well. That's our 2026 plan. And in our 2027 plan, the expenses, we'd like to add those 8 new golf carts. Now this year, we'd like to do 3 bunker reconstructions, another cart path, also a longer cart path, a number 2, tee off to really fix that hole. And we need to purchase a refurbished aerator. Why is this funding so important to us? Multi-year funding would support maintenance and improvements to the course. This would ensure a positive experience for golfers and visitors, and it would be an improved asset in the municipality. We also hope to bring the course to a standard where we can apply to host Canadian and also provincial golf tournaments. Without funding, it will be a struggle to maintain the grounds, the equipment, repairs, and the maintenance building, then risking a decline in quality, and possible popularity may decrease as well. And so I super appreciate your guys' time on this, and thank you so much for letting me present.
Thank you for that. Very to the point. We appreciate that. Any questions from council for Alex?
Just a reminder to council that if you're going to have, before you speak, make sure your light is on because Alex will not be able to hear your question.
1 second. I forgot all about this. Okay.
Now back to propane, customer heading now back to propane.
Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Warden Albright. Alex Malcolm Madden, Councillor District Number 1. You're nonprofit, is what I gathered.
That's correct.
So is there any ask of the business sector for donations? Or are there any coming in?
About 2 years ago, we did a major sponsor drive where we created money to put brand new signs around the course. So we had businesses basically do a sponsorship for 2 years to get their name up around the course, and that enabled us to do signs and help with cart pass. We just finished that. We're going through our first full year this year.
So
with the business
just specifically for stuff like that. So no, just funding, no ask as to help. I guess I guess
You mean
I'm
like with the maintenance shed and?
Is there going to be a drive out there to ask other businesses for funding, or is this just asking the municipalities?
No, we will be asking businesses for funding as well. As soon as their 2 years is up, we'll be doing that every 2 years to provide funding for the course as well.
Thank you.
Councillor LeBlanc, can you press your, I had to.
There.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, Alex. It's Daryl. Good to see you
Daryl.
again.
Good to see you.
Just curious regarding the clubhouse. Didn't see anything in there, and I know that probably eventually there's going to have to be some major repairs or renovations or things done there. Do you guys have a plan set for that already, or is this something that is going to be additional down the road?
Yeah, so I've got a long list of stuff here in the clubhouse as well. We need new lumber for deck and ramps. We need 2 new doors for accessibility grants, and so we've actually applied for those as well. Club storage, we fixed that up a bit already. We actually did the roof last year. This year we've kind of redone the inside with new lighting, looking to do new flooring as well. So that is part of our overall plan in the next 3 to 5 years, yes.
Okay, good. It is good to see that financially that the course is doing good and membership is up. And I do see that you guys are contributing in regards to this as well. So you're just not relying on municipal funds, you guys are putting your share in as well, so that's a good thing. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Daryl.
Deputy Warden Sonia.
Thank you, Warden. I see that your membership's increased to 370. To me, that's a significant number, and I do believe there was a membership issue in the past. So it looks like you're having some form of remedy there. Where do these members come from? Are they all local? There any outsiders, and do you expect that to grow even more?
Yeah, we do expect it to grow more. I mean, right now I think we're at about 17% that's outside of Pubnico towards the Barrington area, and I believe it's around 20 to 22% from closer to Yarmouth area.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Boudreau.
Hi, Alex. My name's Gordon Boudreau. I'm the counselor for Wedgeport. I'm just wondering, how many customers do you have that are non-members?
We do. I think we did about almost 200,000 in green fees last year. And so I didn't bring that with me here today, but yeah, we did about 200,000 in non-member green fees last year.
That's great, because once in a while I go. So I'm just wondering if I'm the only one or if there's more.
No,
That's great. Yeah, good. Thank you.
yeah, no
Councillor
problem.
Bork.
Hi, Alex. This is Kathy Bork. I'm the counselor, I guess, for the golf course, the area. I just want to know, they asked the questions about who was outside and non-members as well, but I want to know the youth. Is the youth increasing?
Yes, we're very happy to talk about the youth. We all believe that, our future membership depends on the youth. And this year, I think I'd love to send you guys a full report with the junior program, because I don't have that right in front of me. We just had a board meeting the other night, and I heard a few figures and how much it's up. Especially the free memberships. I feel like last year it was only like 12, and I feel like this year it's over 25. So we're very happy about where that's going. We also have Leland doing lessons for them. And we're starting to do weekly junior scrambles where the kids are basically being dropped off on their days off and spending the day at the golf course. Some playing 36 rounds. And it's really, really exciting to see the youth out there for sure.
Okay, thank you.
I had a question as well. Did I hear you say that under 15, it's free membership? Did you say that?
I did, yes.
Yeah, so I think that's awesome, and I think that's a great retention, right? You're trying to recruit new members, and that's a great way to do it, I think. And that could possibly be why your membership continues to increase. So I think it's a great initiative. I know I'm also chair of the Recreation Commission, and we've used the golf course for different activities, so we appreciate that facility as well. So you said that you're looking for 30,000 from us for 3 years, and I see that you're asking the town for 20,000 over 3 years. Were you asking Modi for anything? The Municipality of Yarmouth, sorry. We're used to acronyms. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so I believe that we're also asking them as well.
Okay.
I know Charlene sent out to all three. It was
Okay.
those three main ones. Yeah.
Okay, I was just kind of curious about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for your presentation. Like I said, it was to the point. You gave us exactly what we needed. It's not the first time we've heard about the golf course and the need for funding. So it's not new for us. So they are looking for $30,000 per year times for 3 years. So what is the wish of council? Go ahead, Councillor Bork.
Yes, I'm in favor for this. I mean, it's the only golf course that we do have in our municipality, and I think they're doing a good job of trying to keep it going and encouraging people to use the golf course, so I think it's a good asset that we have. So I'd like to make the motion that we accept, I guess, 30,000 each for over 3 years.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Okay, seconded by Councillor Surratt. I was going to say Councillor Dashiell. Any questions on that? Councillor Madden?
Just a curiosity. If we do approve, which I think we will, is that a recreation budget or is that council as a whole budget?
That's a good question.
It would be part of our capital budget. We'll be
Yeah.
talking about in maybe 10, 15 minutes or more. It would only include 1 year in that particular discussion. If this motion goes by, we will commit that 30,000 out of our capital budget. We will not have any impact on our operating rate.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. We're
Thank you
good.
guys so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Take care.
All right, next on our agenda, we have on number 5, review of grants to organizations. So it's been a few weeks that we had a meeting where we talked about grants to organizations. We had the spreadsheet. We went over the different committees. We went over people asking for money. We've kind of looked at these numbers for a while, and we now have a new spreadsheet. So we continue to have the group name, the amount requested, the grant category, whether they're within Argyle or not, the description of what they're looking for. The average is there, so that's the average that council would have given for that organization, and then the rounded number. So the rounded number is the number that we would be approving tonight for those committees. So our hope tonight is that we are able to approve, two approvals tonight, our grants to organizations and also community hall grant as well for Glenwood. So I guess the first bit of business is if we look at our grants to organizations, I'm sure you've all had the chance to look over these. Are there any questions? Is there anything anybody's unsure about or would like to see changed? Or are we okay with this? What's the wish of council? Councillor Foster.
There's one thing about this that I was very pleased about when we decided to add $10,000 to our grants to organizations. But on the other hand, I didn't like the suggestion at the time that we take the money from grants to community halls. And what we decided to do was to not award the $10,000 for the Club Acadien in Saint-Anne-de-Ruisseau because it was felt they weren't ready for that grant this year. And I'm wondering, is there any way we could put those $10,000 back into community halls and find it elsewhere in the budget? Because by taking that $10,000 out for community halls, by the time people get their turn, it could be 20 years down the road. I don't know exactly how many community halls we have, but, you know, I'm thinking of the hall in Amiros Hill where they got their allotment 2 or 3 years early because they had an issue with flooding in the basement, and now they need some capital funds again. And if we take this $10,000 out, by the time they get their turn again, it's going to be several years down the road. And a lot of our halls are old and aging. A lot of these halls are old one-room schoolhouses that have been converted into community halls, and they're not brand-new buildings. Some of them are old parish halls that have been converted into community halls. And that's my big worry. I'm wondering, is there any possibility of finding those funds elsewhere in the budget? I'm happy to support what is suggested and laid out here, but is there any way that those 10,000 could be found elsewhere and put back into the community hall budget? That's my question.
I'm remembering the conversation that we had about Le Club Acadien. So we had an initial where we gave, it was a little bit more than $10,000 to community halls, and
Yes.
everybody had their turn. And then we decided to go again with another $10,000. So I think we're on that second round, and I think, if I remember correctly, that Councillor Madden had said they knew the money was there, so they put in an application,
Right.
but they didn't quite feel ready yet. So I'm
Right.
even wondering, like, would they even, is it something that they absolutely need right now, or are they able to wait? I guess you would probably have the best information on that. Counselor Madden?
Thank you, Warden Albright. Yes, thank you for your concern. At the moment, I'm very involved with the hall in the Club Acadien. What they were requesting was for a couple doors and stuff like that, adding up to $2,000-3,000. And I just I said, wait till we can get ready for a big grant instead of wasting our year and getting funding this time, and next year we'll be better ready. We have a new treasurer that wasn't used to the system.
Right.
So we're preparing for next year, and we're good till then, right now. Thank you, but thank you for your concern.
CEO Muse?
I'm just going to go through some of the statistics here. So on here, there's only one community hall grant that is I guess, recommended for approval, and it's the Argyle Greenwood Hall, $9,813. The budget for the total hall, as we are all aware now, is $10,000. There were 3 other applications that, one of which we just spoke about, Club Acadien, $10,000. And then there were 2 smaller requests from the TVSC, Twin Village Social Club, as well as the Hubbard's Point Community Hall, each for $5,000. The details of which I can find. So in terms of, this is an application process. So from my perspective, I think my recollection was, because those organizations had already received that, the decision was to move the 10,000 out of community halls just for this year, like a 1 year, and then into the next year. I also am aware that we're pretty much at the end of funding all of these halls now, so the whole thing needs a reset, the whole thing. So I guess the question that's being asked, because the Club Acadien has basically said, well, we're gonna wait, what we're basically talking about is the Twin Village Social Club at 5,000 and the Hubbard's Point at 5,000. That's what the question is. In terms of the budget has been approved. So we approved the operating budget at the last meeting. And so if there's a decision of council to make that a different decision, it can do so via motion. It can add 10,000 via motion if that's their interest. And then I think at that point, if you do that, then you would have to consider whether those applications are in fact viable. So I'm just trying to work out how this might work for you, right? So budgets get passed and then they're wrong as soon as they get passed. Like, that's just what budgets are. No offense to anyone who has worked months and months on a budget. So they can be, I mean, they're estimates, right? So anytime that we go outside of budget, we would require a motion of council. So it's not our decision to make to go over budget, it's council. So that's the long explanation, or maybe some history around to help with this discussion.
Deputy Warden Sonia.
Thank you. To Councillor Foster's point, in an emergency, and I think this would be probably directed to Willa, in an emergency, even if you've received the $10,000, if there's a storm and it blows off shingles off a roofing that has to be repaired, isn't there provisions in our municipality here to actually fix that at the time without having to go into these $10,000 grant to organization, whatever?
Right, so there's 2 parts to that. The first part is, do you have the money for it? And usually what we would do is and unfortunately, what we have is an application deadline. Emergencies don't have a tendency to follow that deadline. It's really, bad emergency, right? So these things happen often outside of that. So we don't always have the budget for that. So then, of course, the council would have to make that happen if they wished. The policy talks more about the priority, right? So if Twin Village Social Club has a huge flood and they need something to be done and they've already received the money, oftentimes there is consideration on those one-off situations that gets them either to be a repeat funder, or they actually may come ahead of another club if their need is less dire. So the policy does address that to some point, but at the end of the day, these are like case-by-case scenarios oftentimes, and we've seen it in the past where we have supported funding more than once for a particular organization. insofar as whether those are urgent or not, I'd have to look at the details of those applications. They may be, so we can look into that while you're debating, I think, and get back to you on that.
Okay. Counselor LeBlanc.
Thank you. I think if I can just respond in regards to Councillor Foster's comments or requests, I believe if we look at it right now today, the funding that we are doing, that puts all the halls at a level playing field of what the funds that were going out. And I believe, I think that our intention was that now we're on a reset. So starting next year, it'll be up to council now to decide on whether we're going to continue with this of supporting the halls and at what price or what amount of funding that we're going to be looking at in regards to these halls. I think two things here. One is, yes, obviously all halls need money. We understand that. The questions regarding those two are, is it vital that they have this money this year? Or is it something that can be wait until next year once we do the reset and we look at the next budget? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak again on the issue before Counselor Foster does for the second time? Just making sure. Okay, go ahead, Counselor Foster.
So I just want to make sure that I understand this completely clearly. What CAO Muse is saying is that it was only this year that we were transferring the 10,000 from the grant to halls. I thought it was permanent. That's what my confusion is over that. So this is a one-time thing, and next year we reset the system. Okay, well, that's a lot better. If I had to make a choice between the two smaller halls that need money, I would have to say that the one in Amirals Hill is more urgent because there seems to be a problem with the main sill. And perhaps we can look at other forms of funding, but that's a major concern. I'm sure Councillor Boudreau can back me up on that. If there's a serious problem with the sill, there's a serious problem with the building. And I don't know when it was constructed. The main part of the hall was a church hall, basically, and I don't know when it was constructed. I don't know the history. It's been there since I can remember, for sure. And it wasn't a new building since I can remember it being there.
CEO Muse?
Just a couple other, as you were debating or discussing, the Hubbard's Point for 5,000 was to replace doors. And the last time they received funding was in 2023. So when we look at the policy, they haven't really gone that long without being part of that. The other unfortunate thing for that application is that it's only for 5,000 because they are entitled to up to 10,000, and they had already received that amount in 23. That being, and the same for the Twin Village Social Club, also doors, door replacement. But they received funding the year prior to that, so 21, 22. So I think what we're experiencing here is everybody's had their turn, and it really is time to reset the policy. You're quite right to say that it's a one-time transfer of 10,000, and that was part of the reason that everybody had already received their round. I think a new policy would have to be developed, and it is staff's intention when we get to the end of that to redevelop that policy. So if that's something that can have the patience of council and the and the clubs, we're going to have that work done in the summer into the fall. And there may be room for a differing funding model as well. Maybe it doesn't happen at the same time as the other grants, for instance. There are other things that we need to look at. Every time we have a policy, we learn. So, the first one was 15,000 per, and this one is 10,000 per. And right now, with the Glenwood Hall receiving, it really comes, that's the end of like phase 2. Mm-hmm. So it is up to council if they wish to increase the budget. But what I would suggest is that my suggestion would be to deny the claims that are there now, But then if you wish to increase the budget for the future, we could then look at that at a future time, different application, different scenario. That's not my call, but I just want to, I'm just trying to do it from a practical perspective for you. That would be my suggestion.
Thank you. Councillor LeBlanc.
Just one more comment from Councillor Foster. You mentioned, I guess, in regards that there could be sill damage or whatever. So I would also, I think, I'm certainly not a contractor, but I think before we go and put $5,000 into a building to replace doors, we better find out exactly what type of is going on there. So I would really recommend maybe that if there is some serious issues with the building, that they find out exactly what needs to be done or has to be done prior to coming to council, I guess, in regards to looking for funding. Thank you.
Okay. So since we've been talking about the community halls, let's deal with the community halls. So what would we like to do? Would we like to make a motion to approve the request of $10,000 for the Argyle Glenwood Community Hall? Somebody willing to make that motion? Okay, it's moved by Councillor LeBlanc to award the Argyle Glenwood Hall $10,000 in community hall grants. It's seconded by Councillor Madden. Any other questions or comments on that? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. What is the wish of council for the grants to organizations?
I have a question again, and it's not so much on grants to organizations as it is, excuse me, to community council district grants. District 4 has grown by one community since the last election. They've incorporated the entire village of Hubbard's Point into District 4 now. And they were used to getting a community district grant. And now, with the number of grants that are coming in from Emiros Hill and Surratt's Island and other parts of the district, I'm worried that somebody who was receiving grants in the past are not going to be receiving a grant this year because they're going to get maxed out. So it seems to me it would make sense, that I'm not trying to stir the pot, to take the community district grant that Hubbard's Point had been getting previously as part of District 1 and transfer it to District 4, but then that gives them more than the other districts. I'm not sure how to handle that, but I would make this suggestion. There's still $500 in the budget here for grants to organizations at $59,500 if it's approved. So there's a $500 there, and we were talking about approving $60,000. So then it would only make a shortfall of $200. Not sure how to handle that. I would like to hear some suggestions or comments.
I can offer some, kind of how we've handled it in the past. Because before the boundary change, before the boundary review, that was an issue in my district as well. Before I even had a chance, all of my money was gone, and there were still organizations that were needing that $700. So what we did is, that's why we changed the title to community grants and no longer district grants. So for example, now that the boundaries have changed, Councillor Madden has way too many organizations than money. So what's happened is, I think 3 of the ones that we approved at the last meeting for my district are actually from his district. So what we tend to do, and I know that's happened in the past, is that the only problem with that is sometimes the group has to wait a little while, but there are some communities that don't necessarily give out their money like that. And at the end, they have money left over. So your group could apply to, for example, a grant through our deputy warden if he has money left. So the money still all gets spent. It just doesn't necessarily get spent, like my district is District 5, but yet I've given some for District 1 because I lost some of mine, right? So that's why we call it community grants now rather than district grants. That's kind of how we've handled it in the past. Everybody still has their grants. It's just they're spread out a little bit differently than they have been in the past. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. Okay. So for the grants to organizations, any questions on that? Any issues? If we're good with this, we can approve it.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Okay. So it's moved by Counselor Boudreau and seconded by Counselor Bork to approve our grants to organization budget for $59,500. Any questions on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Next on our agenda is our capital reserve budget. We have 3 attachments. CAO Muse.
Thank you. This is, Madam Chair, this is for me to present. And if any, before we go on, any questions on community grants in the future, if you're curious as to how many you have left in your pocket of grants, just let us know. You know, sometimes you get a lot of letters and you don't remember how much you got left. So I think all councillors but one have some remaining in their pocket, and if you wish to know exactly how much, just let us know, and we can help you with that. The capital reserve budget, there are 3 attachments. I just want to explain them very briefly before we get into the, we're not going to go in great depths on this because we already have a number of times. So the attachment 1, that's the official capital budget. Okay, so that essentially, what that means is it's basically split out by fund. It is rather, accountants, it's accountant language, because it talks about how the budgets are allocated in each fund. What I believe is more relevant to council is the second attachment, which shows each project and how they're being funded. And I can assure you, last I checked anyway, the numbers are the same. So it's just a different presentation. So on the first attachment, you will not see expenditures by project. You will see expenditures that the capital reserve will forward money to a third party. So the best example is the Mariner Center expansion. That is not something that we own directly. That is a contribution to a third party. Any contributions are shown under that budget as being provided to that organization. Everything else that we do, that we acquire capital assets, are actually shown under a different budget. Okay, so I'm trying to make this as exciting as possible, even if it's, you know. So what you'll see in the first attachment that I'm not going to go through in great detail, you will see that they are divided by fund. And so that's mostly for the accountants. The information that you should know from that document are that we will acquire $3.5 million in capital assets for the municipality this year. Now, we're not paying for all of that. We are acquiring it predominantly through federal, provincial funding and other sources. So we are not paying 100% of these. In fact, our percentages on those are closer to 50% or less in some cases. Insofar as and then the contributions themselves, oftentimes those are coming out of your capital reserves directly. So, you know, the funding that we might receive on the Mariner Center expansion, well, we don't actually receive that. Our contribution is reduced because there's other money, right? So that's basically the explanation of the first attachment, but I will pull up the second attachment, which I would suggest that you do as well. And the capital projects are each listed there. And I'm going to take, as quickly as possible, go through each and every one of these. There are some that show that we're not going to do it this year, but they're still listed because they're still on our list to do as soon as we can. And the one is the Tusket roof replacement for the courthouse. We know that that's coming very soon. Thank you, Scott. So on page 1, you'll see the red cap, you'll see the total cost and where the funding is coming from. Again, you'll see there's actually no municipal government funds for that project. That is entirely paid for by somebody else. The wastewater improvements, we call it brewery, we call it industrial park. We've changed changed the names about 100 times, but we need to do improvements there. That is not the entirety of the project, but we are anticipating that we will start the project. I can assure you that the investment of 650,000 is very high. It's unlikely to happen at that magnitude for this year. I'm not saying the project won't be that large. I'm saying that this is a multi-year project. And again, so we'll keep going quickly. East Pubnico water tank, that is actually moments away from being concluded. We've received pictures. It looks like the engineers were super impressed. And so what you'll see is the construction cost at 1.17, and we will be within that number. Tuscott wastewater sand filtration, that one's underway as well. It's a little slower because of the weather, but that's been well underway, and the construction will be within that number. If we scroll to the second page, there is a contingency for replacement, things break. It's not a very high number, 20,000. Software enhancement, that is basically artificial intelligence and other opportunities to automate our HR, and our other software packages. So this is where we're building a one-stop shop for accounting, and we've talked about this before, but we're dealing with adding features that do cost us money, but at the end of the day, it could even save future staff positions, because the information and the work will be more automated and a lot less onerous. You'll see solar panels. That's a conditional project. No money, no due. So we have an application outstanding for that. Those solar panels would be erected here at this location if we get the funding. If we don't, we won't. J.E. Road, Hatfield Extension, we've talked about this at length. It's underway. And there's slight delay because they hit a lot of water, but that project is ongoing and will continue. Again, you will see where the money is coming from. The repayment of admin building and the financing, the two in the light blue on page 2, the 293 is going to happen. We're in a loan repayment schedule, and the second one is dependent on the application for the solar. If we go to page 3, you'll see the Mariner Center expansion, as well as there's 3 Mariner Center there, 3 Mariner Center columns. The ice pad replacement I've put there, that will be a next year item that you're already aware of. The prior to that, the aquatics expansion, that is your first of 2 payments, most likely, on the municipal expansion project. The Mariner Center other capital is what they ask for every year. That number is 60,000. Fire equipment and capital, this one we don't know exactly what we're going to do with this one, but it is anticipated that as we plan the fire, as we execute the fire service review, there will be things that the municipality will have to invest in, whether that's equipment or whether that's whatever. We don't know what it is yet, but we know that something is coming, and that's the estimate we have. And the last one is the one that you just approved. I didn't want to be presumptuous. I put there as a draft, but here it is. It's the 30,000. So this is just the first year investment. So the totals are way at the end, and these totals do tie into your first attachment. It basically shows that your capital is at 5.86 million, total revenues and expenses. And of that, you will be spending 2.68 of your own money. And if I was to take out the contribution to the Mariner Center expansion, that number would be a lot less, right? So this is where we want to be, right? So we want to be able to save money, which we have over time, and to put money aside as part of the rate in order to ensure that when projects can be funded, that we can secure our portion of funding. So that's what this is about, and the leveraging or the balancing of municipal funds with other funds, it's working, right? So that's what that tells you. So that's the capital budget. This is the largest one in your history, and again, it's driven mostly by the Mariner Center expansion contribution, but there are quite a few projects going on right now. Some of these projects have been approved in the past, But the right thing to do, if you're ready to do so as a council, would be to approve the capital reserve budget as presented. It's also, there are two elements to this. The other motion that we would ask is that you would also pass the tangible capital asset budget. We're used to doing a one budget for both. So this year, we're splitting the activity by fund. So there would be two motions that if you're prepared to do them, we would ask that you would do them. Again, approval of the capital reserve budget, which you have in front of you, you've seen more than once, and the approval of the TCA budget, or tangible capital assets budget, which is basically showing the transfer in, how much depreciation will happen over the next 12 months, and how much capital acquisitions or purchases you'll have. So without getting into the details of the accounting, I'll leave it at that. If you have any questions, we are here for you.
Councillor Digdon.
Thank you. I personally don't have any questions now. We've went over this now a couple of times. I know there's been a lot of work put into it by Alain and his staff, Marsha, and that, but at this point, I'd be willing to make a motion that we approve the capital reserve budget as presented.
And seconded. Any questions on that one? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. Okay. And then we have the tangible capital asset budget as well. Somebody willing to make a motion to move that one? It's moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Madden. Any questions on that? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. Next, number 7, we have the operating fund income statement, March 31st, 2025. All right. Marcia, you're on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as shown on page 3 of the attached document, we are currently projecting a surplus of $448,080 in the operating fund at March 31st, 2025. As shown is approximately $61,000 of that surplus is actually funds that belong to the sewers and the water utility subcommittees. These amounts do also get transferred to the operating reserve, however recorded into the individual subcommittees. This amount does, this leaves approximately a surplus for the municipality of $387,000. As stated, this is a projected number that could and will likely probably change slightly as we continue to work and prepare on the audit. We are not, however, anticipating any significant or major changes. To go briefly into the detail, approximately $160,000 of that surplus was in the revenues, which is on page 1. You'll see the D-transfer tax at $285,629, which is $95,629 higher than budgeted. Other areas showing revenue higher than budgeted can be found under services provided by our other government, which part of that is the revenue we received when one of our staff members filled the position of interim CAO at the Mariner Center. Sales and services came out higher than budgeted as well, which is the Wellington turbines and the solar panels in East and West Pubnico. Lastly, the return on investment and interest on taxes, the actuals are higher than budgeted at the year end. The remaining surplus can be found in the expenditures on page 2. General government services had some savings mainly in staff vacancies, employee benefits, and training. As you are aware, we are looking into making changes into our pension plan. It has been taking a little bit longer than anticipated, therefore no significant changes were made last year, however budgeted. Protective services savings were mainly in REMO and regional emergency measure operations. The budget was approved including 2 part-time coordinators. One coordinator resigned from his position, leaving a vacancy for the better part of the year. It was also included in an event contingency, which was thankfully not needed and used this year. The bulk of the savings in transportation services is the Hope Dial-A-Ride program that you are all aware of and had previously approved last year. The program unfortunately did not get up and running in the last fiscal year as we would have hoped and liked. However, we are hoping that something will begin in the near future. You will see a surplus under environmental health services. As previously discussed, almost all of this surplus belongs to the sewer and utility committees. Lastly, under environmental development, a housing coordinator was approved and budgeted last year. However, this position has not been filled at this time. I do welcome any questions. However, before I do that, I will say that there was another attachment on the agenda that we can briefly discuss. We are obligated to transfer any remaining surplus to the operating reserve, and this can be done without a council motion. In the past, council has decided to transfer a portion of that surplus to the capital reserve for future investments. If this is wishes of council again this year, a motion would be required.
Thank you. Any questions for Marcia? I'm just going to read the suggested motion. So it is suggested that we move $100,000 of the 2024-2025 operating surplus, that it be transferred to the capital reserve for a total transfer to the capital reserve of $550,000 for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. Okay, moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Bourque. Questions or comments on that? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Good.
If there are no questions about the financial presentation, it would be also appropriate if the council so wishes to move a motion to accept, not approve, accept the financial statements as at March 31, if they are comfortable to do so.
Okay. Okay, it is moved by Councillor Madden to accept the operating fund income statement as presented, and seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay, next we have number 8, the operating reserve budget. Go ahead, CAO.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This will be very, very fast. The operating reserve is our savings account. You've heard me talk about savings accounts and how funds are basically moving money from one pocket to another. This is the operating reserve fund, which collects or disperses surpluses from or to the fund. So you'll see the unaudited actuals is showing that you've accumulated approximately $393,000 in the reserve. That is an unaudited number. The transfer of surplus as a revenue item will change as we finalize the audit. That number might change. It might. You'll see. That number will be different. So the interest, though, is correct, as well as the loan forgiveness and the transfer to operations. So in short, we budgeted an $87,000 surplus in this reserve last year. We actually managed a $392,000 surplus, so that's good news. In the budget of the next year, we are expecting an $84,000 income in interest. Our interest income has been very positive the last couple of years, but now your rates are going to come down. You're going to see those numbers come back to, I guess, normal, if you wish to call it that. And then under your expenses, you'll see transfer to operations. That means operating fund. So we are expecting a transfer of $309,268. This was discussed at the operating budget when we had the conversation that we would be short about $440,000. And so what we're saying is that 2-cent rate increase would pay for some, but the remainder, approximately 70% of it, would be paid for by this reserve. This is a savings account, and it's meant to do precisely what this budget is saying, which is if it's raining, we need to inject when in times that are not sunny days will give you positive news, and sometimes rainy days we need to go and dip in. So this every year we expect at least some amount that we may have to dip in on the reserve because there's so much uncertainty. Luckily for us, we have not really used a lot of the reserve in the past. In fact, it's been the other way. It has gone to the reserve. But we think with a lot of the cost pressures coming that we might see a turn in that. So this budget is presented, and it says that you will be using a net of $245,000 from the operating reserve, and we would recommend approval of this budget.
Okay, it's moved to approve this budget by Counselor Surratt. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Counselor Boudreau. Questions on this one? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay, number 9 for approval, we have Article C57, Veterans Banner Policy. So in the past, we've had a pretty successful collaboration with our legions on putting up banners around Remembrance Day. So there is a policy, we had 7-day notice at the last meeting, so we're looking to possibly approve the policy this evening. We have an attachment of the policy, there is also an attachment of the application form. So what is the wish of council? Counselor Digdon.
Thank you. Yes, the Veterans Banner program has been very, very good, I believe, for the municipality. Very deserving for the veterans that are no longer with us and the veterans that are with us, because there's also some veterans that are on these banners. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve this policy here this evening for the veterans banners. Thank
Okay,
you.
so moved by Counselor Digdon and seconded by Counselor Brooke to approve the Veterans Banner Policy. Questions on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Number 10, question period. No questions, question period. We have no in camera. Is there any other business? Seeing none, we're adjourned. That's it.